The biggest secret in Silo might not be what is outside the walls. It might be the thing they force people to wear when they finally see it. Because what if the helmet given to cleaners is not protecting them from the outside world? What if it is hiding the truth from everyone watching? For years, the people of the silo have believed one terrifying rule. The outside is death. The air is poison. The world beyond the walls is impossible to survive. And every time someone is sent outside to clean, the helmet becomes the final symbol of that punishment. A person walks through the airlock. They step onto the dead landscape. They look at the ruined world. And within minutes, they fall. But here's what changes everything. What if the helmet is not saving them? What if the helmet is the reason they die? Because when you look closely at every cleaning, every reaction, and every detail surrounding the suit, the show might be revealing a much darker possibility. The people of the silo were never simply being punished. They were being controlled. And the helmet might be the most important piece of the entire deception. The silo has always been built around one question. What is real? Not what people believe, not what they are told, but what is actually happening beyond the walls. The citizens have spent generations accepting one version of reality. The outside world is toxic. The founders saved humanity by creating the silo. The rules exist for survival. And anyone who questions those rules becomes dangerous. But the strange thing is, the silo does not just control information. It controls perception. It controls what people see. And the helmet represents the ultimate form of that control, because seeing is supposed to be believing. But what if the silo has discovered the easiest way to manipulate humanity? Not by hiding the truth, by showing them a fake version of it. Look at what the show is actually telling us. Every cleaner follows the same pattern. They're told they're going outside to perform a simple task. Clean the sensor, restore the view, help the people inside see the truth. But the moment they leave, something strange happens. They all react emotionally to the outside world. They see something. They feel something. They experience a moment where their entire understanding collapses. And then they clean.
Why?
Why would someone who has been lied to for years suddenly choose to clean the very thing that proves the outside is dangerous? That's not the real mystery. The real mystery is what they are seeing before they clean. Because the helmet might be creating a completely different reality. This is the detail everyone missed. The cleaners are not just wearing protective equipment. They are wearing a psychological weapon. A device designed to control their final moments. Think about what happens when they step outside. Their first reaction is always confusion, then disbelief, then emotional acceptance. It almost looks like they are seeing something beautiful, something completely different from what they expected. And that raises the most dangerous question in the entire story. If the outside is truly a dead wasteland, why does everyone who leaves react like they have discovered something beautiful? Why do they hesitate? Why do they look peaceful? Why do they clean the camera willingly? The answer might be hidden inside the helmet itself. The silo has always understood one thing. People do not need to be physically trapped if their minds are already imprisoned. The walls are not the strongest barrier. The strongest barrier is belief. And the helmet may be the final step in that system. Because imagine if the citizens inside suddenly saw what the cleaners saw. Imagine if thousands of people looked through the same perspective. The entire foundation of the silo would collapse. The government would collapse. The rules would become meaningless. The sacrifices of generations would be questioned. So the silo needs one controlled moment. One carefully designed experience. One final illusion. And that moment happens when someone steps outside. But here's where the theory becomes even darker. What if the helmet does not only affect the person outside? What if it also controls the people watching from inside? Because every cleaning serves two purposes. The first purpose is obvious. Remove someone who broke the rules. But the second purpose is more important. It reminds everyone watching what happens when you challenge authority. The cleaner becomes a message, a warning, a performance. The silo does not just punish rebels. It creates examples. And the helmet is part of that performance. Think about Juliet. Her entire journey is built around one dangerous idea. Question everything. She does not accept information because it is officially approved. She searches for evidence. She follows the hidden details everyone ignores. And the more she discovers, the more obvious something becomes. The silo is not protecting people from the truth. The silo is protecting itself from people discovering the truth. And the helmet represents that entire philosophy, a perfect symbol of a civilization where reality can be manufactured. And this is where it gets darker, because if the helmet is a lie, then every cleaning in silo history has a completely different meaning. Hundreds of people may not have died because they discovered the outside was deadly. They may have died because they discovered something the silo could not allow them to understand. The helmet did not save them. It controlled their final perception. It gave them a reality that matched the story the silo wanted everyone to believe. But the biggest question remains. Who created this system? Who designed the helmet? Who decided that controlling a person's final vision was better than letting humanity face the truth? Because if someone went through all this effort to create the perfect illusion, then the outside world might not be the biggest threat. The biggest threat might be the people who already know the truth. And the next question becomes even more terrifying. If the helmet has been lying to everyone for generations, what happens when someone finally removes it? The answer might be hidden in one simple pattern. Every time someone goes outside, the silo repeats the same story. The outside kills. The suit fails. The person loses hope. Then they collapse. But what if we have been looking at the wrong part of the event? Everyone focuses on the environment, the poisoned air, the ruined landscape, the impossible conditions. But the real question is not, what is outside? The real question is, what does the helmet make them believe they are seeing? Because the silo has never been afraid of the outside world. It has been afraid of uncontrolled information. And the helmet may be the perfect tool to control the last thing a person experiences, their own reality. Look at the cleaning ritual. The most important moment is not when the cleaner walks outside. It is when they remove the cloth and look through the visor. That single moment changes everything. Before that, they are still connected to the silo. They are still hearing the voices of people inside. They are still carrying memories of the world they knew. But after they see the outside, something changes. Their entire emotional state shifts. They stop behaving like someone who has been sent to die. They behave like someone who has discovered something. Something unexpected. Something impossible. And this is the detail everyone missed. The helmet does not just protect the cleaner. The helmet creates the final version of reality they experience. The silo has spent generations controlling every piece of information. Books are restricted. History is edited. Technology is limited. People are separated by departments. Even language is controlled through rules.
Why?
Because information is dangerous. A person with questions is dangerous. A person who understands the truth is impossible to control. So, why would the most important moment in a person's life be left completely uncontrolled? It would not. The cleaning ceremony is too important. The silo would never allow someone to simply walk outside and see whatever reality exists. That would be a massive risk. Instead, the helmet becomes the final filter between the person and the truth. But here's what changes everything. What if the helmet is not hiding the outside from the cleaner? What if it is hiding the cleaner from the outside? There is a difference. Because maybe the world beyond the silo is not immediately deadly. Maybe the danger comes from something inside the equipment. Something that slowly affects the person. Something that makes them see what the silo wants them to see. This would explain the strange behavior of cleaners. They are not instantly destroyed by the environment. They have time. They have awareness. They have a moment where they seem almost calm. The timeline does not match a simple poison theory. Something else is happening. And this connects to another important clue. The silo is obsessed with making people believe that leaving is impossible. Not just difficult. Impossible. The message has been repeated for generations. Outside equals death. Outside equals punishment. Outside equals failure. But fear is only powerful when people believe it. The helmet reinforces that belief. It creates a final image that confirms everything the silo has taught. The people inside see the cleaner fall. They see the body. They see the empty landscape. And they think, the silo was right. But what if that conclusion is exactly what the system wants? That's not the real mystery. The real mystery is why the silo needs such an elaborate deception. If the outside is truly dangerous, why manipulate anything? Why create fake visuals? Why control what people see? Why hide information? A simple truth does not require a complicated system, but a lie does. A lie needs protection. A lie needs rules. A lie needs punishment. And the silo has all three. Now look at Juliet's investigation from a different perspective. She is not just discovering secrets. She is discovering inconsistencies. The kind of inconsistencies that appear when a story has been carefully constructed. The official explanation says, the outside world ended. But the evidence keeps suggesting something else. The official explanation says, the founders saved humanity. But the rules feel less like protection and more like imprisonment. The official explanation says, cleaning is a punishment. But the ritual itself feels designed, almost like a message being delivered. And the helmet is the final piece of that message. Because every system needs a symbol people understand without questioning. In the silo, that symbol is the suit. The suit represents death. The helmet represents separation. The moment someone puts it on, everyone knows what happens next. But what if that symbol has been misunderstood? What if the helmet is not a symbol of survival? What if it is a symbol of control? A reminder that even when someone finally reaches the outside, the silo still controls what they experience. And this is where the theory becomes much bigger. Because if the helmet can manipulate perception, then the silo has not just been controlling information, it has been controlling reality itself. Think about what that means. A person can be standing in front of the truth and still never understand it. They can see the world, but only through a design perspective. They can experience freedom while still being trapped. And that might be the greatest achievement of the silo. Not building walls. Building a reality where people do not even want to escape. The darker possibility is that the helmet was never created because the outside was dangerous. It was created because the truth was dangerous. The founders did not need to stop people from leaving. They needed to stop people from understanding what leaving actually means. Because the moment one person discovers the real purpose of the helmet, the entire foundation begins to break. The rules become questionable. The history becomes suspicious. And every cleaning becomes evidence of something much larger. But there is one final piece missing. If the helmet is a tool of deception, who is controlling it? Is it the people currently running the silo? Or is it part of a much older system that even they do not fully understand? Because the most terrifying possibility is this. The people in charge may not be the creators of the lie. They may only be protecting a lie created by someone else. And if Juliet discovers who built the first helmet, she might discover the real reason the silos were created in the first place. And that truth could be far more dangerous than anything waiting outside. The most terrifying possibility is that the helmet was never designed to protect humanity. It was designed to preserve a story. A story so powerful that entire generations were born, lived, and died without ever questioning it. Because the silo does not survive because of its walls. It survives because people believe the walls are necessary. And the helmet may be the final piece of that psychological prison. Think about the perfect nature of the system. The silo does not need to stop everyone from escaping. It only needs to make escape impossible to imagine. That is the genius behind the helmet. A physical barrier can be broken. A locked door can be opened. A guard can be defeated. But a belief planted inside someone's mind? That is much harder to destroy. The helmet creates the ultimate illusion. It makes people think they are seeing reality, when in reality, they are seeing the version of reality someone else created for them. But here's what changes everything. What if the cleaners are not actually seeing the same thing? What if every person who steps outside receives a carefully designed final experience? A personalized illusion. A psychological trap. Because the silo understands something important. People do not all fear the same thing. Some people fear death. Some people fear being forgotten. Some people fear that their entire life was meaningless. And the most effective lie is not one that convinces everyone. It is one that feels personal. This could explain why the cleaners react so strangely. They are not simply looking at a destroyed world. They are confronting something emotionally powerful, something that breaks their resistance. The helmet may not just show them an image. It may create acceptance. A final moment where they stop fighting. A final moment where they become part of the system. And then they clean. Not because they are forced, because the helmet has convinced them. And this creates the darkest interpretation of the cleaning ritual. The cleaning is not a punishment. It is a psychological experiment. Every cleaner becomes another test. Another person placed outside. Another opportunity to prove that the system still works. The question is not, can someone survive outside? The question is, can someone escape the silo's control even when they finally reach freedom? And so far, the answer has always been no. Now look at Bernard. His role becomes much more complicated under this theory. Because Bernard is not just protecting a location. He is protecting a reality. He understands that the entire structure depends on people believing the official story. The moment that belief disappears, everything collapses. The silo is not just a building. It is a carefully maintained idea. And Bernard is one of the people responsible for keeping that idea alive. But this raises a dangerous question. Does Bernard know the full truth? Or is he also trapped inside a system created long before he existed? That's where the story becomes even more disturbing. Because the people maintaining the silo may not be villains in the traditional sense. They may be prisoners protecting their own prison. They have inherited rules, inherited secrets, inherited fear. They are told that revealing the truth will destroy humanity. And maybe some of them believe that. Maybe the biggest lie in the silo is not just the lie about the outside. Maybe it is the lie that humanity cannot handle the truth. Look at what the show is actually telling us. The silo was created because someone believed people could not be trusted with knowledge. Not because people were weak. Because people were unpredictable. Give someone the truth, and they might seek freedom. Give someone freedom, and they might destroy the system. So the solution was simple. Control the information. Control the history. Control the view. Control the helmet. Control everything. And this leads to the final revelation. The helmet is not the biggest lie because it shows people something false. It is the biggest lie because it convinces people they are finally seeing the truth. That is far more powerful. A person who knows they're being deceived will fight. But a person who believes they understand reality will defend the deception. The helmet does not create prisoners. It creates believers. And believers are much harder to defeat. This changes the entire meaning of Juliet's journey. She is not simply trying to discover what happened to the world. She is fighting against a system that has controlled human perception for generations. Her greatest enemy is not the poison outside. It is the idea that the silo knows better. Because once Juliet proves that the helmet is a lie, she does not just reveal a secret. She destroys the foundation of society inside the silo. But this creates one final terrifying question. If the helmet has been lying for generations, how much of the silo itself is real? The history? The rules? The reason humanity was placed underground? The story they have been repeating for hundreds of years? What if the helmet is only the first layer? What if the entire silo was built around a much bigger illusion? Because maybe the biggest secret was never hidden outside the walls. Maybe it was hidden in plain sight. Everyone was looking at the screen. Everyone was looking at the dead landscape. Everyone was looking at the people who went outside. But nobody was asking the most important question. Who controls what they see? And if Juliet removes the final layer of deception, if she discovers what the helmet was truly built for, she may uncover a truth that changes everything. Because the silo was never just a place designed to keep people alive. It was a machine designed to keep a story alive. And the moment someone finally breaks that story, the entire world beneath the surface could collapse. So the real mystery is not whether the helmet is lying. The real mystery is this: what truth is the helmet powerful enough to hide?